Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. My name is Jack. 4 seasons beside Ashley created routine. 11 engaged months shaped plans. Mornings held quiet brewing. Evenings brought balanced meals. Nights ended with soft lamps. Nothing felt broken, only settled. One Tuesday, the door opened, and she entered carrying tension rather than warmth. Ashley placed a small bag beside the sofa and said, "Jack, you're too emotionally attached. I need a break." Silence settled between us. I asked, "Is another person involved?" Her response came fast. "No, this is about breathing again." The phrasing sounded rehearsed. "No calls, no messages, no surprise visits. A few weeks. I'll stay with Lauren," she added, eyes fixed on the floor, voice steady yet distant. I studied her face. No anger, no tears, just distance. "You're sure this is what you want?" I asked. "For now, yes," she answered. "I can't think with everything feeling heavy." A pause stretched between us. I nodded once. "All right, take the time you asked for." Shock flickered briefly across her features, as if she had expected an argument, maybe pleading. "You're okay with it?" she said. "I said I would respect your decision," I replied, calm. "That's exactly what I'm doing." She picked up her bag, walked toward the door, then stopped for a second as if waiting for me to say more. Nothing came. The door closed behind her with a soft, final click. I stood there alone. Something in the air felt wrong, like a conversation paused in the middle of a lie. Her words repeated in my head, too emotionally attached, not with sadness, but with curiosity. A break was meant to give clarity. I had the feeling this one was going to give me something else instead. A silent afternoon followed her departure. I sat at the kitchen counter handling utilities across our shared laptop. Numbers, dates, due amounts flashed across the screen. Then a small alert appeared in the corner. "Lake Haven Lodge, Group Retreat, confirmed." That title alone tightened something in my chest. I clicked it. A reservation page opened. Weekend schedule, lakeside cabins. Multiple names placed in tidy pairs. At the top read Ashley Turner plus Nathan Clark. Beneath them, Lauren Harris plus Raymond Cook. This was not a solo getaway. This was a planned escape. Another link sat below the booking, a shared group page created for easy updates. I opened it. Photos loaded one by one. Ashley stood next to Nathan in the first, smiling wide. Their shoulders touched. In another image, her hand rested on his leg while laughter filled the background. A caption sat below, "Testing paradise before the honeymoon." My eyes moved through comments, jokes, inside references. Dates showed these moments happened weeks earlier. Planning nights, shared excitement, careful coordination, all while she slept beside me, spoke of wedding colors, and kissed me goodnight. I did not feel rage. I did not slam the laptop. Cold understanding settled instead. Each detail lined up. The sudden distance, the rehearsed speech, the request for silence. This break had been organized long before she walked out my door. I opened my phone and captured every screen. Guest list, times, photos, comments, proof stacked neatly in my gallery. When I finished, I closed the laptop slowly and sat back in the chair. "So that's what a break looks like," I said quietly to the empty room. Evening approached, yet my mind felt sharp and awake. I did not feel abandoned. I felt informed, and information meant options. Ashley believed she stepped away unnoticed. She believed silence gave her freedom. She had no idea that silence had just given me vision. Morning brought movement, not hesitation. First, the bank. Inside, a polite clerk handled the transfer. I withdrew half of the funds from the joint wedding account. No drama, no argument, just numbers moved from one place to another. What belonged to me returned to me. Next stop was the street near our venue. I didn't cancel. Deadlines, fees, windows of time. I stored every answer away for later. Then I called Lake Haven Lodge. A woman with a welcoming voice answered. I asked about availability for the same dates listed on Ashley's confirmation. She paused, checked something, then said, "One room remains." "I'll take it," I replied, under the name Jack Turner. She offered options. I accepted a simple package without hesitation. Once payment went through, she asked if I needed anything else. "What time is breakfast served?" I asked. 7. Perfect. The call ended. A plan existed now. Not revenge, just truth in the same location she chose to step into another life. That night, I packed light. One bag, no excess. Phone charger, clothes. I stood near the door, looked around the quiet apartment, then locked it without hesitation. Ashley had asked for space. I was going to give her more than she could ignore. Lake Haven Lodge stood calm beneath early light. No drama, no scene, only position. At 6:45, I entered the dining hall. Large windows faced the entrance path. I chose a table where I could see every arrival without being obvious. I waited. At 7:15, voices floated in first. Laughter. Footsteps. Ashley entered with the group. Her hand rested against Nathan's chest as he guided her inside. She looked relaxed. Lauren followed, arm linked with Raymond, eyes already scanning the room for safety. They took a table near the window. Ashley laughed, leaned closer to Nathan than any friend would. I stood. Each step toward them felt steady, measured. No shaking, no hesitation. Ashley saw me halfway across the floor. Every trace of color drained from her face. Her smile vanished in a blink. I stopped beside their table. "I'm Jack Turner," I said calmly. "Ashley's fiancé." Silence cut through the room. Lauren's eyes dropped to the table. Nathan looked up at me, confusion mixed with pride that didn't belong here. "Beautiful place," I added. "Unusual for a break, though." Ashley tried to speak. No sound came. I placed the phone on the table and scrolled once. Guest list, pairings, her name beside Nathan's, planning photos, comments, the exact caption staring back at her from the screen. "You said you needed space to think," I continued, voice even. "Looks like everything was already decided." Nathan shifted, finally finding air. "Who are you to question her?" The answer stayed simple. The man who was planning a wedding while this was being booked behind my back. No one laughed now, no one moved. "Ashley," I said, eyes steady on her frozen expression. "We need to talk, away from this table." She slowly rose from the chair, hands trembling. The group watched in quiet shock as she stepped away from them and followed me. We walked along a narrow path beside the lake. Ashley spoke before I turned toward her. "I didn't plan for this, Jack. It was supposed to clear my head. Nathan is someone from my office, someone I started talking to during late campaigns. He listened when I felt ignored. He was just someone who made me feel seen again." Tears streaked down her cheeks. "Nothing serious happened. I swear." I studied her without raising my voice. "You organized travel, shared photos, joined a couples group, promised silence, and still think this was harmless?" She opened her mouth, then shut it again. I continued. "I already withdrew my portion of the savings. I will cancel the venue, the vendors, every agreement tied to a future that ended the moment I opened that laptop." Her shoulders stiffened. "That apartment is mine too. I pay bills. I live there." "The lease is under my name," I replied. "You moved in later. You will pack when I give the time." Her expression shifted from tears to anger. "This is exactly why I needed distance. You control everything." "Control comes from honesty," I said. "What you did was secrecy, not freedom." She stepped closer, desperation in her eyes. "We can fix this. Counseling. Time away together. Anything. Please." "There isn't negotiation here," I answered. "There is consequence." A long pause filled that open space. Her hands trembled again. No argument followed. No clever reason came next. Only realization settled onto her face. "You chose your path the day you asked for silence," I added. "Now you get it." I turned and walked back toward the building. Each step felt lighter. Behind me, she remained seated on the bench, staring at water that offered no reflection of the future she imagined. I did not look back. The remaining weekend passed without noise. Late Friday evening, Nathan approached near the parking area. "You had no right to follow her here," he snapped. "I didn't follow," I replied. "I reserved a room after discovering a lie." "She said you suffocated her," he continued. "She was arranging vows while arranging weekends with you," I answered, keeping tone flat. "Decide which story you prefer." He stood still, then stepped back. No further words came. The following morning I checked out. I drove toward the airport without delay. During that flight, no anger surfaced, no sadness lingered. Only space remained where chaos once lived. Back home, first action mattered most. I contacted a locksmith and replaced every entry lock. After that, I gathered Ashley's clothing, shoes, books, and accessories. Each item went into boxes, then bags, then lined along the hallway outside the door. Organization replaced emotion. A single message went through email. Pickup window, Friday 2 to 4 p.m. Items will remain outside the unit. No contact inside. Her phone calls flooded voicemail. Some shouted insults. Others begged. None changed direction. Thursday, her mother and Lauren buzzed the building several times. I watched from upstairs as arms waved at the intercom, frustration written across both faces. I did not answer. Friday, a small truck arrived. Ashley stepped out. Lauren and a driver began loading boxes. No words passed between us. No gestures returned. She looked up once, as if expecting something. Nothing came. A chapter closed right there on the pavement as the vehicle pulled away, carrying with it pieces of a life that no longer belonged in mine. Time passed without announcement. Friends spoke instead. They said Ashley moved into Nathan's place days after leaving the apartment. At first, photos appeared online showing new smiles. Then, those posts vanished. Voices in our circle changed. Concern replaced excitement. Nathan grew suspicious. Ashley grew defensive. Arguments formed over small things. He checked her phone, questioned every message, counted the minutes she spent away. She accused him of insecurity. He accused her of dishonesty. Neighbors heard raised voices through walls that were never thick enough for privacy. One night, he told her to leave. No pleading, no hesitation, just a door closing. She returned to her parents' house, room from teenage years waiting with forgotten posters and faded paint. Work barely held together after missed days and quiet stares from coworkers who already knew. Invitations stopped arriving. Friends stepped back. Trust drained from places that once felt safe. A long email reached my inbox. Lines filled with regret, confusion, and justification. She admitted mistakes, claimed pressure, begged for another chance, offered explanation after explanation. I read it once, then closed the screen without reply. 2 days later, her father, Michael, called. His voice carried weight, not anger. "I heard what happened," he said. "I raised her better than this. I'm sorry." "I appreciate that," I answered. "But the situation is over." He understood. The call ended with respect, not bitterness. My own life changed direction quietly. I joined a local soccer group again. Old friends welcomed me back without questions. Laughter returned without awkwardness. One evening, a colleague invited me to a small gathering after work. Nothing formal, just a quiet apartment, soft music, a few familiar faces, and a few new ones. She introduced me to a friend named Elena Martin. Her handshake was firm. Her eyes were level. "You look like someone who overthinks everything," she said with a faint smile. "Only things that matter," I answered. We sat on opposite ends of the couch at first, speaking about work pressure, short trips we'd taken, books we'd both read but never finished. She laughed once, not loud, but genuine. There was no flirting, no hidden expectation, just two people having a simple, honest exchange. When the evening ended, she stood, extended her hand again, and said, "It was good meeting you, Jack." "You as well," I replied. It didn't feel like a beginning. It felt like a reminder that conversation could be easy, that interest did not have to be dramatic, and that connection could exist without chaos. Sleep came uninterrupted. Thoughts no longer replayed old scenes. Ashley's choices no longer touched my present. Healing did not arrive as a miracle. It arrived as routine, stability, and quiet proof that my life had moved beyond someone who thought space meant escape without consequence. Months later, my phone lit up with a name I had almost stopped recognizing. Ashley. One message. No drama in it this time. "I'm moving to another city. I'm trying to start again. I just wanted you to know I hope you're okay." I looked at the screen for a moment. No rush, no anger, only distance, the kind that feels earned. I typed back a short reply. "I hope you find what you're looking for. Take care." That was it. No questions. No memories pulled back into the present. No need to explain what she already understood too late. I sat at the same kitchen counter where her voice had once filled the air with, "You're too emotionally attached." The apartment was different now. It felt calm. The air held no unresolved words. I thought about the man I had been that night, ready to argue, and I compared him to the man sitting there now, steady, measured, unattached from chaos. Not colder, just clearer. Ashley claimed I held too tightly. The truth was simpler. I held on to something that was already gone, and when reality finally showed itself, I let go without a scene. Ashley had asked for space. I had given her all she ever needed. In the end, that space returned to me, filled now with certainty instead of questions. And for the first time in a very long while, I didn't feel attached to the past at all. Thank you for watching.